a pyramid scheme. This is not a joke, there's a hole in the board, and you could paint your portal on the wall with the intention to break through. But every time you bang your head against it, tiny little pieces fall out of you. Everybody wants to play Billy the Kid. Nobody wants to be Calamity Jane. I wish I could break into your heart. I wish I could sleep in your brain. Darby crash and the iconoclast and Frida Kahlo in a black ski mask.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Bennett Upton, and I've been a member here at All Souls for 14 years, which is surely the longest I've searched for anything without giving up. The part that I think that is really crazy is that there are people who have been here longer than me and are also still searching. I'm still holding out hope that it'll be any day now, though. Whoever you are, whatever your age, ability, economic status, or rejection thereof, race, origin, orientation, background, gender, identity, or history, we welcome you and are pleased that you have chosen to be here with us today. In light of this diversity, we strive to honor and treat respectfully those with differing views and paths. This is our challenge, and this is our covenant. Visitors are welcome at all of our activities and events. If you missed the announcement slides before the service, you can see them running again in the foyer. Our board person of the day, James Peck, will tell you a little bit more about what's going on.
Good morning. We have Blessing of the Animals next Sunday coming up. So the children and youth are going to have a big part in that service. So today they're planning their part. So if you have a pet, bring them. Make sure they're on a leash or able to be in here, and they'll receive a blessing. It's one of the fun services that we have. All of them are fun, but it's especially fun to see all the animals here. We have a house meeting at Grace Methodist that's put on by North Louisiana Interfaith, and that's October 7th. And it is at 6 p.m. because it says 8 p.m. on the graphic, but it's 6 p.m. Oh, no, it is 6. It's my eyesight. I need my readers. So they're just encouraging people to learn how to organize and get together and listen to people in the community and members of the church, so you can organize and act together to solve different problems, which is kind of what North Louisiana Interfaith is all about. We are hosting the Highland Blessing Dinner this coming Thursday evening. That's always a good time, but you can volunteer to be a server, where you take the food and deliver it to the tables, or you can sit and host at a table and eat a meal with the individuals and talk to the individuals. But that's people in the community that need to have a meal. And what time are they? You have to be there, Susan, at 5? Yeah. Okay. Give away the plate for this month is Students for Justice in Palestine, the LSUS chapter. So it's a group of students at LSUS that gets together funding and raises awareness for Palestinians in Gaza. And I think specifically they're kind of focused on students that are Palestinians in Gaza. But that money would go to the chapter, and then they would use those funds to support that cause. Our volunteer of the month for September is our very own Taha Hyatt. He does all kinds of stuff here. He's the founder and leader of the Unitarian Universalists for Justice in the Middle East. He's organized all types of speakers that we've had here at All Souls. He is a board member. He works with the immigrant in detention, along with Susan Yellett and many, many other things. So congratulate him for being the volunteer of the month. And October 26th, we have our chili cook-off coming back, combined with our trunk or treat. So that's immediately following the 11 a.m. service. Our current reigning champion is Bennett Upton. So if you think you can unseat him with your chili recipe, please do so. Bring your entry, and we'll be voting with cash, I believe, whatever chili you think is. So it's yes. November 15th, we've got the Festivus Market for crafty people that are interested in selling their art. The registration fee is $25, and I believe that gets you a parking spot, so it is an outdoor event. And if you want to buy multiple parking spots, we can arrange that. And I think that's it for me, if you don't have anything else to add. Okay.
All right, yeah, and I don't know if I actually won or not, but I definitely hold the chili chalice, so anyone who would challenge my ability to actually claim that rightly would have to maybe admit that they, I don't know, dropped it off at a thrift shop or something like that. But I definitely hold the chili chalice, so I am clearly the one. So anyway, that's a whole other story. Not going to get into that today. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to wait for one chime to finish ringing, and then we're going to go with another chime. This is The Heart of Our Faith by Monica Jacobson Tennyson. What is it that calls you here, that calls you onward, that calls you inward, that leads you homeward? What is it that gives you the power to make that change, to ask that question, to take that journey? What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more, that brings you to stillness, that holds you up in hard times? It is relationship, the beating heart of our faith. It begins when we share this hour, our truths, this air, our hearts. Come, let us worship together. Could I get some children to come do the chalice lighting, please? Okay.
We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is a church of the open mind. This is a church of the helping hands. This is a church of the loving heart. Together, with mind, hands, and heart, we care for the earth and for each other.
Thank you, Eva. Spirit of life and love, God of grace and mercy, source of all things that changes us as we cannot change ourselves. We gather this morning as a covenanted community of spiritual seekers coming together in a rainbow of diversity, united by our conviction that the wounds of this world can be healed through compassion, forgiveness, acceptance, and courage. And by healing, we do not mean restored to some mythical original purity, but brought to a new place with greater wisdom, wholeness, and liberation than could have been envisioned before. This community is on a journey from one home to another, and yet in truth, we know that each one of us is on a journey, and all our journeys place us before forks in the road. These places ask us to make choices, saying yes to some things, saying no to others, grieving in what we must leave behind, rejoicing in the blessings, often unexpected, that come our way. In these journeys, some will choose to walk with us, and some will choose another path. Some will pause for a while, withdrawing into their own places of transformation where we cannot follow. Some of these partings happen gently and lovingly, others with judgment and disappointment. It is our calling to accept these things as a testament to our strength and our fragility, and to trust in the process, even as we fear the unknown, even as whispers of beloved memories draw us deep into our own hearts, even when we see more clearly where we have come from than where we are going. The journey asks us to keep walking. Would you please stand and body your spirit, and say with me as you are comfortable or able, the unison affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other. And remain standing, please, for the hymn, I've Got Peace Like a River by Marvin Frey.
Peace like a river, I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul.
Did everybody get a candle this morning? And did you check your candle to make sure it works? Because the first one I picked up this morning was a dud. So just turn it on real quick, and it's got a little switch on the bottom. And then I'll tell you when to actually turn it on for real. Just a little bit. What comes from Transylvania? Vampires. Guess who else comes from Transylvania? Hotels. Good. Good. And Francis oui, very good, good. Unitarians, our tradition goes way back. And so this is a story from long ago in the land of Transylvania, which is now Romania. And there were some people in a mountain village who had become a part of a free faith, what we today call Unitarianism. And they wanted to build a church of their own. So all the people came together. They gathered stone, they chopped wood, they stacked and they hammered and they painted for days and days and days. And finally, at the end of one very long day, in the late afternoon, they realized they were done. They had a church. And so the people agreed that they would all go home and they would have a meal and they would come back that evening for the first service in their new church. And so after everyone had gone, there was a little girl named Zora and her father, Misha, who remained. And they had brought their own dinner so that they could stay there at the church. And the rest of their family would join them at church that evening. And so as they sat eating their simple meal of bread and cheese, Zora suddenly noticed that something was missing. Do you see these, they call them sconces, these little kind of buckets that the lights are in along the wall, right? Well, in this church, they didn't have that. They just had these little stands kind of built into the wall. And Zora asked her dad, what are we going to do for light? I see lampstands, but there's no light. And her dad said, you'll see, the people bring the light. And he explained that each family was responsible for bringing their own family lamp to the church. And sure enough, as the sun went down and the sky grew dark, Zora began to see lights coming up over the distant hills from all directions, kind of like now in the sanctuary as you light your candles and hold them up. And soon people were filing into the church, placing their lamps on the lampstands to light the church. And Zora saw her mother and her brothers and sisters come into the church with their lamp, and she watched the beautiful flickering light all through the service. And when it was over, she asked her dad, what will we do with the lamps now? And her father said, everyone will take their lamps home with them. We bring the light to the church, and then we take the light away with us on our way home, and it gives us light throughout the week. And our church is like that too. Even though we have the lovely sconces with the lights already in them, we are the ones who bring the light to the church. In the children and youth class, at the end of the class, when they extinguish the chalice, can y'all help me say what you say? As we extinguish our chalice, may we carry its light within us until we meet again. And I think that's a wonderful thing for all of us to remember, is that we carry the light. We carry the light out into the world where we try to use it to bring a little light to the world, to make the world a little bit better, which is so needed right now. And carrying the light reminds us to try to do good things and to be better people. And when we come back again, each of us brings our own light to share with everyone. And so today, you may take this light with you, and if you want to bring it back, that's fine, and if you want to keep it at home on your lampstand, that's fine too. Today, our children and youth are going to plan, or help start planning our Blessing of the Animals service for next week, and so we will. And I just wanted to remind you that if you do bring a pet, as James said, make sure that it's either on a leash or in a carrier or somehow contained. Even the most docile pets can sometimes be unpredictable in public situations, so we just want to be sure about that. Yes, Jackson. And you are so allowed to bring Landry's come before and he did great. So yes, you can bring Landry. Landry's their dog. Not named after any political officials, by the way. Yeah, I felt like the family would want me to acknowledge that. But anyway, let's sing them out. Go now in peace. Oh wait, no, we have something, don't we? We have a responsive reading.
We can do this first, and we'll do the responsive reading after.
We'll sing them out. Okay, let's go ahead and sing them out. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Okay, and we do have a responsive reading, but I think the kids can head on to that class. That will be fine. This is also number 670 in the gray hymnal, if you wanted to read along in there. I think the words might be in your order of service. They're on the screen. And this is The Way by poet Edward Murr. Friend, I have lost the way. The way leads on. Is there another way? The way is one. I must retrace the track. It's lost and gone. Back. I must travel back. None goes there, none. Then I'll make here my place. Stand still and set my face. The road leads on. Stay here, forever stay. I cannot find the way. The way leads on. Oh, places I have passed. That journey's done. And what will come at last? The way leads on. After the meditation, we'll have an opportunity to light a candle for concerns or prayers up front. You do not have to come up and do that. This is Praise to You, the Web That Connects Us to Each Other by Amy Zucker Morgenstern. The Hindu god Indra is said to have created reality as a great net, with jewels at each intersection of the threads. Every jewel is reflected in every other, and they are all connected by the infinite, intricate web. The jewels are sacred, and so is the net that connects them. And so I pray, dear God, you are the between spaces of our lives. Where one hand reaches to touch another, you are there. Where eyes meet across the crowd and confusion and find understanding, you are there. Where the spark leaps from one mind to ignite another, that is you. Wherever we connect, you are the connection. Each of us is a jewel in Indra's net, shining like dew in a spider's web. Praise to you, the web that connects us one to another. When we are in the in-between, on our way from the intolerable to the unknown, when we defy the categories that small minds invent and dare to imagine something beyond, when we seek others who are on a journey, on a threshold, on the margins, in any of the shimmering intersections of our lives, when we listen to the possibilities whispered within and step into mystery with trust, with fear, with trembling, may we find peace, for we dwell in your sacred space.
you believe me if I told the truth? Everyone's looking for someone to use. I don't want no one to touch me, no. Got to keep moving, it's my life, I can't lose it. A war correspondent, a wandering loser. Well, I'll light the candle, I'll touch the flame. I won't stop dreaming, 'cause this world is dangerous. I still love you. Oh, I still love you. When everything's crumbling, just know that I do.
So today I'd like to talk to you about spiritual paths, how we can find them, how we can tell where others are on theirs. But first, who in here believes in Santa Claus? Just, okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about Santa today, and whichever kind of Santa you might believe in, whether it's the nice guy with the gifts, or Santa Claus, with the claws, or anyone in between. I'd like to be sure that everyone in the room is prepared for a few hard truths. But I'd also like to begin with some other further caveats, particularly about stage-based thinking. And I know it's reductive. I get it. It can also simplify a complex topic to be delivered in under, I've got about 10 minutes. So I know the clock is ticking and the service is going to end on time. We do have to remember that when we speak of stages of development, that we can be in multiple stages at once, in different ways, that we might never reach a stage, or that we might pass through a stage without noticing, and we can even regress. When it comes to the stages of faith development, being able to see the stages really helps us to understand where we and others are at. And then we can see what work might need to be done in ourselves, or how we might better speak to someone who is at a particular stage. We like to say that we need to meet people where they're at. That's a thing I hear a lot. But first we have to be able to identify it. Like math, a teacher has to first understand the level of math they want to assess in the student. If they haven't reached that level, then they can't assess it. This is also the path of our own spirituality. You have to reach a stage before you can identify it in others. And it's helpful to know what the stages are to understand it. It's not a journey we can take on our own, just as we don't get very far with math if we are just meditating in solitude. We also don't get very far in our own spiritual path without others to learn from. We need problems to practice with. They don't have to be good people to learn from. We can learn from anybody, but we do need other people to be in community with. This is not just a solitary practice to enrich our lives, to make us feel better about who we are, but a way of understanding how we interact with others. Coming into more perfect relationship with ourselves and our community. It's our path to understanding our connection to the interdependent web. It's how we understand our place in the world and the meaning in our lives. When people fail to advance their own spirituality, they also fail to find their proper place in the world. So it's not a trivial journey. So how do we identify it? What are the stages? They're a little complex, but I'll boil them down for you today for the aforementioned 10-minute time limit. This is taken from some work by James Fowler in Stages of Faith. I'm mixing it in with a metaphor from Natalie Briscoe, that she is the Southern Region lead from the UUA. Natalie is great. I'm also going to gloss over some topics so that I don't arouse the ire of anybody with a PhD in psychology. Just, especially when it comes to early childhood stuff, because it's not that children aren't important, it's that I don't have a PhD in early childhood psychology. I know that those PhDs do exist. So first I'm going to say there's a pre-stage. It's called the undifferentiated faith. This is generally children from birth to about 2 years of age. At this stage, children just kind of experience faith as a connection between themselves and their caregiver. And then there's stage 1, which he calls intuitive projective faith. This is generally preschool-aged children. And so the cognitive development of children of this age is such that they are unable to think abstractly and are generally unable to see the world from anyone else's perspective. Faith is not a thought-out set of ideas, but instead a set of impressions that are largely gained from their parents or other significant adults in their lives. In this way, children become involved with the rituals of their religious community by experiencing them and learning from those around them. And this is where what Natalie Briscoe says comes in, where she has this metaphor that I really love, which we can think of this like Santa Claus. When we teach children about Santa, they just believe. They don't question anything too deeply, right? Because everyone around them believes in it. It's almost a protective mechanism, right? Stage 2, mythic literal faith, generally ages 6 to 12. Children at this age are able to start to work out the difference between verified facts and things that might be more fantasy or speculation. At this age, children's source of religious authority starts to expand past parents and trusted adults to others in their community, like friends and teachers. Like the previous stage, faith is something to be experienced. At this stage, it is because children think in concrete and literal ways. Faith becomes the stories told and the rituals practiced. Later in this stage, children begin to have the capacity to understand that others might have different beliefs than them. And so in this stage, children just still believe in Santa, right? They obviously, like, the toys are underneath the tree, so it must be true. Everyone tells me this is all true, so it simply is true. It's at stage 3 where people tend to get stuck. The synthetic conventional faith. This generally starts about the age of 13 and goes around 18. Though some people may stay at this stage for their entire lives. Unlike the previous stages, people at this stage are able to think abstractly. What were once simple, unrelated stories and rituals can now be seen as a more cohesive narrative about values and morals. With abstract thinking comes the ability to see layers of meaning in the stories, rituals, and symbols of their faith. At this stage, people start to have the ability to see things from someone else's perspective. This means that they can also imagine what others think about them and their faith. People at this stage claim their faith as their own instead of just being what their family does. However, the faith that is claimed is usually still the faith of their family. Issues of religious authority are important to people at this stage. For younger adolescents, that authority still resides mostly with their parents and important adults. For older adolescents and adults in this stage, authority resides with friends and religious community. For all people in this stage, religious authority resides mostly outside of them personally. So now at this stage, people believe in Santa or not, but other people don't, or they do, and those people are wrong. Maybe they're even bad. They might be bad people. People in this stage need to have a role in their community, and they need to feel accepted. They might even identify themselves as that role. I would even say that some people identify it like as their job. They feel that they fit into society as their job, and if they really strongly identify as their job, then that's probably the stage that they're at. And again, people stay at this stage for their entire lives, frequently. But there are stages beyond this. There's stage 4, individuative reflective faith. This stage usually starts in late adolescence, 18 to 22 years old. However, Robert Keeley points out that people of many generations experience the kind of dissonance that comes with the real questions of faith that one begins to address at this stage of development. People in this stage start to question their own assumptions around the faith tradition. Along with questioning their own assumptions about their faith, people at this stage start to question the authority structures of their faith. This is often the time that someone will leave their religious community if the answers to the questions they are asking are not to their liking. Greater maturity is gained by rejecting some parts of their faith while affirming other parts. In the end, the person starts to take greater ownership of their own faith journey. So I was told to believe in Santa, but Santa was a lie. And I hate Santa because Santa's for babies. Frequently, when people leave their religion, they're angry. It can take some time and reflection to get back the parts that were important to them. This might manifest as growing up Catholic but turning atheist, where someone has rejected their elders but not gained the maturity to reclaim ownership of their own journey. And that's also okay, right? That's also a stage that I've known people, they stay at that stage for their entire lives. The next stage is the conjunctive faith. And people don't usually get to this stage until their early 30s. In my case, maybe 40s. But, again, we're all at our own pace. I see my daughter, and like, how did you get to this stage so early? You're not even in your 30s yet. How did you get this in your brain? Like, I don't understand. But again, you can't assess people that when you haven't reached that level. So this stage, the stage 5, conjunctive faith, this stage is when the struggles and questioning of stage 4 give way to a more comfortable place. Some answers have been found, and the person at this stage is comfortable knowing that all the answers might not be easily found. In this stage, the strong need for individual self-reflection gives way to a sense of the importance of community in faith development. People at this stage are also much more open to other people's faith perspectives. This is not because they are moving away from their faith, but because they have a realization that other people's faiths might inform and deepen their own. So actually, Santa's in all of us, and I can learn from the Santa inside of anyone. People usually don't stay in Unitarian Universalism if they don't reach this stage. Because if you don't reach this stage, then you're angry about religion, and you're not going to want to stay here because it's going to make you think about that. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why you might not stay, but stage 5, if you don't get there, then you'll have a hard time staying here. Stage 6 is universalizing faith, and it is a rare person who reaches this stage of faith. James Fowler describes people at this stage as having a special grace that makes them seem more lucid, more simple, and yet somehow more fully human than the rest of us. People at this stage can become important religious teachers because they have the ability to relate to anyone at any stage from any faith. They are able to relate without condescension, but at the same time are able to challenge the assumptions that those of other stages might have. This is when we realize that we are all inseparable from Santa. So I moved here from Turkey where I was stationed at an air base with my family, and Christmas it's tough to get right there, since they don't really have all the right stuff, being a Muslim nation, predominantly Muslim. So we decorated a branch from a eucalyptus tree instead of a pine tree. The kids had an art teacher that had them make reindeer snacks out of pretzel and glitter, which I recall they were quite skeptical of when I first. They didn't seem, but this was going to be the last Christmas with Santa, and it wasn't shaping up to be a great one. My youngest was 7, and the next was about 9, and they seemed to be pretty skeptical already. They brought home the reindeer snacks with a little trepidation. It's like the cookie tradition, but there's no way I'm going to eat that, right? Sure, pretzels. Yes, I like pretzels, but it had glitter held on with glue. So on Christmas Eve, it was cool and wet, and the grass was muddy in the yard. Of course, it was Turkey, so we never got snow. We were out on the Mediterranean. It was hot in the middle of the day, but at night it was cool, and it was very rainy. I had them put it right out in the front of the house where Santa was obviously going to land. After that, they went to sleep, and I snuck out, and I pressed hoof prints into the mud with my fingers. And then I put the snacks in a bag that I tossed in the trash because I was worried they might check the garbage and find the evidence of my subterfuge. And then before they opened their presents, They checked the yard for the snacks and were astonished to find hoof prints. It really was their last Santa Christmas, but it was absolutely magical, where they lived in a world where someone had limitless powers, but chose to use them to make children happy. And I was glad to share in that world with them, even if just for a little while. Until then, I'd gone through the motions, but after that, I really became a believer, and that's when I started believing in Santa. So, yeah, it's just... Well, anyway, that was my sermon. That's where I ended it on. Now it seems like it was a little bit abrupt, but I'm going to hand it over to Susan to deliver to start us on the hymn, "The Fire of Commitment."
Thank you, Bennett. I love that. If you'll rise in body or spirit.
From light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the faith that burns within, and our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the faith that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin. The dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the faith that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can
And our benediction today is by James, please, oh, yeah, be seated. Our benediction today is by James Galasinski. Our faith, like a light, illuminates the path before us so that we can face hurt with love, cultivate compassion, live humbly in community, and confront despair with the awe of life. Though our flame is extinguished, our faith shines bright before us. Thank you, and go in peace.
Snake plants, Florida water. I only wanted ever be a good daughter. Soft hands, gold rings. Try to remember most everything, like feeding grapefruits to the cows. On my belly while I'm laughing out loud. A bathing suit on a 2-day drive. Malaria, you can't sleep at night. Lemon tree and a mango for the baby. Record player, you could call me Sister Sadie. Gonna cut a rope and tie her to the tree when the hurricane comes. Hurricane comes. I know your face, I know your smell. I know that you were living in hell. Pee in the bushes while I wait for a train. Under the bridge when it starts to rain. I never got to ride the sunset route, but I drank enough 100 proof. Campfire on the super fun side. Garbage island fucking in the moonlight. Play my song for the barrel of freaks, and we go shoplifting when it's time to eat it. They don't even really know my name. I'm so happy that we escaped from where we came. Tattoo with a needle and thread. Most of our friends are dead, so test your drugs, remember Narcan. There's a war on the people, what don't you understand? There's fentanyl in everything. Don't become an angel with a broken wing. Oh, we need you back down here on earth, and nothing is as painful as birth. Well, time flies when you're getting old, but I was born with a baby boy soul. Maybe someday I'll see you again in a field of war, a kingdom of sand, and maybe we could smile again. Oh, maybe we could dance again. I'd kiss your lips, I'd hold your hands. Oh, maybe we could dance again. Well, I was young when I left home. I never stopped running, used to think I was alone, but nothing will stop me now. Nothing will stop me now. Oh, nothing will stop me